area lakes are way above their usual mark, and that, unfortunately, could signal a wicked winter. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ed Riley is live now from along the Erie Basin Marina with more on this tonight. Ed, what do we know?
Well, Keith and Joanna, on a windy and chilly first day of October, we have to remind ourselves that we're now in the season where we can see some high wind events. We also have to remember that Lake Erie is like a bathtub, and when that wind blows, that bathtub tips, sending the water to one side or the other. And that's why there's concern this year, because the levels of Lake Erie are higher than normal. Of course, it's a big concern, especially for people who live along Hoover Beach. They have houses very close to the water, and even though they have concrete barriers, a lot of times those waves can come crashing up into their homes. Now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers tells us that this year the levels of the lake are 13 inches higher than average and 7 inches higher than they were last year. Another concern is when we get those high wind events, that water will all push here to Buffalo. And we're now going to go to my story.
There were places within the Lake Erie Basin that received 3 and 4 times its normal amount of precipitation.
This U.S. Army Corps of Engineers chart shows how a rainy June sent Lake Erie levels sharply up. And even though they are now starting to come down, Lake Erie remains 13 inches above its long-term average and 7 inches higher than it was at this time last year.
One of the concerns with high wind events is you can get this surge of water that moves up from Cleveland.
October is notorious for very windy weather, but the high water and the wind combined could create some serious problems along the Buffalo area shoreline.
It could bring wave action closer to people's shoreline structures.
One area that gets punished by Lake Erie storms is Hoover Beach and Hamburg. Even though residents have concrete protective walls, storm waves can crash so hard here that debris is tossed into homes, and that's why many houses use plexiglass windows to prevent breakage.
The water actually hits, it actually hits here, it goes up to the second level. It's like a spray that comes up there.
A lot of people nervous about it, though?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
The higher lake levels were good for boaters this summer, but it did cause some problems for docks at the small boat harbor.
Some of them are up in the air and they wouldn't go back down.
Now, with the weather changing and the potential for wind-driven surges in this end of Lake Erie, the scramble is already underway to take boats out of the water.
And so it could be a problem if you get a bad gale.
And of course, the big question now is what sort of October are we in store for? And just how long will these high levels continue on Lake Erie? We'll have some answers to that coming up at 6 p.m. At the waterfront, Ed Riley, 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, good. Thanks, Ed. Hold on to your hat out there.